All right, so get this. We're diving into AI that uses computers,
Really uses
like
it.
really uses them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys sent us some articles on Anthropic's new Claude 3.5 release.
Yeah,
And frankly, even we were blown away.
it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, so tell me, what is it about Claude 3.5 that has everyone, including us, so excited?
What's fascinating is how Anthropic is going beyond just making AI smart, in the traditional sense.
Right.
They're actually teaching it to navigate the digital world like we do.
Okay, so forget AI just spitting out text.
Right.
We're talking AI that can code, problem solve, maybe even move a mouse cursor.
It can. It's a whole new wave of AI development.
What is this sorcery?
Well, Anthropic has actually released two models, Claude 3.5 Sonnet,
Okay.
and coming soon, Claude 3.5 Haiku.
A dynamic duo of AI.
Exactly. They each have their own strengths.
Okay, I am intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's start with this Sonnet character.
Okay.
What makes it so special in the coding world?
Sonnet is designed with a major focus on coding and, get this, actually using computers to do it.
Okay.
We're not just talking theory here.
Yeah.
It's already being used by companies like GitLab, who are seeing up to 10% boosts in the speed of their security automation tasks.
Wow, so it's not just like a theoretical thing, it's actually happening.
It's real world stuff.
Okay, but how does that even work?
Sure.
Is Sonnet just super fast at spitting out lines of code?
It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Imagine giving an AI a coding challenge
Mm-hmm.
that involves, say, understanding a problem,
Right.
finding solutions online, pulling data from various sources, and then writing the code to implement those solutions.
Wow.
That's the kind of complexity that Sonnet can handle.
Hold on, finding solutions online.
Yeah,
So it's not limited to just the information it already, knows.
exactly. One of the ways Sonnet interacts with computers is through something called APIs,
Yep.
which are basically like messengers that allow different software to talk to each other. So this lets Sonnet access information and tools from all over the digital world.
So instead of just having access to a dictionary, it's like Sonnet can walk into the Library of Congress and pull anything it needs.
That's a great way to put it.
That's wild.
And this is still early stage.
Wow.
Companies like Cognition are using Sonnet for increasingly complex tasks like, get this, evaluating the performance of other AI models.
Whoa, AI, evaluating AI. That's some next level stuff. But what about us regular folks who don't speak code? How could this impact our daily lives?
That's where the computer usability gets really interesting.
Okay.
Think of tasks you do on a computer every day. Filling out forms, copying data between documents, maybe even responding to emails.
Right.
Sonnet can do all of that.
Wait, so it can actually see what's on a screen and interact with it? How does that even...
It's not seeing in the way we do.
Okay.
It's more like Anthropic has given Sonnet a way to translate the visual information on a screen into code that it can understand and manipulate.
Interesting.
Like, imagine giving a robot hands, but instead of hands, it's code.
Okay. That's both incredibly cool and slightly terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
what are the limits here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And it's one that Anthropic is taking very seriously.
Okay.
They're actively encouraging developers to experiment with Sonnet's capabilities, but with safety rails in place.
Safety rails, like what? Because honestly, AI with that much access to our digital world sounds like it could go rogue pretty easily.
One of the things they've implemented are classifiers that are specifically designed to detect when Sonnet is using its computer access abilities.
Okay.
So if it starts doing something that, raises a red flag,
Right.
these classifiers can catch it and alert the developers.
So like a digital babysitter making sure Sonnet doesn't get into too much trouble.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that Anthropic involved both the US and UK AI safety institutes in pre-release checks on Sonnet.
Okay.
So they're being very proactive about safety and ethical considerations.
Okay, that does make me feel a bit better. So we've got this coding whiz, Sonnet, using computers in ways we're only just beginning to understand.
Yeah.
What about its counterpart, this Haiku model?
Right.
You said it was all about speed and efficiency, right?
Exactly.
That's right. Haiku is like the, what is it? The sprinter to Sonnet's marathon runner, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It's all about speed, efficiency,
Great.
getting things done quick.
One of its biggest strengths is its low latency.
Low latency, there's that word again.
Always.
I feel like that's like the holy grail in the tech world these days.
It's up there, yeah.
So break it down for me, low latency.
Okay, so we're talking near instant responses to requests.
Okay.
When you need something done, like now
Right.
Haiku is your AI.
So what does that actually look like
Yeah.
in the real world? I mean, what kind of tasks really benefit from that need for speed?
Think about like a chatbot on a website.
Okay.
You want it to feel like you're having an actual conversation.
Right. You don't want to be waiting 5 minutes for it to respond.
Exactly.
Right, because nothing kills a conversation like awkward pauses while your chatbot tries to, like, catch
Yeah.
up.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you also mentioned that Haiku is a data cruncher. So
Yes.
what's that all about?
So even though it's designed for speed, Haiku can still handle massive amounts of data.
Okay.
Imagine feeding it like your entire browsing history, your
Oh,
purchase history,
okay. Get a little scared now.
your social media activity.
Yeah, okay. I see where you're going with this.
Right. All that data that we generate every day,
Yeah.
Haiku can sift through it all and identify patterns,
Okay.
preferences, trends, things that would be impossible for a human to spot.
Right.
And then this information can be used to personalize your online experience.
So instead of getting those, like, generic product recommendations that make you think, seriously, you think I'd be caught dead in that?
Exactly, yeah.
You'd get suggestions tailored to, like, your unique tastes, your interests
Ex-
that you might actually be interested in.
Precisely. Or imagine like a news feed that filters out all the noise
Yeah.
and only shows you articles that are relevant to your interests.
Okay, now that's a future I can get behind.
Right.
No more wading through clickbait headlines and, like, totally irrelevant content.
Exactly, yeah.
Just stuff that I actually care about.
The things you want to see.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And this is where having both sonnet and haiku becomes really interesting.
Okay, how so?
Because, sonnet could handle the complex tasks,
Okay.
like researching a topic,
Right.
maybe generating a first draft of a document,
Right.
and then haiku could take that information
Yeah.
and personalize it for you
Yeah.
based on your preferences and needs.
So it's like having a team of AI assistants working together,
Yeah,
each playing to their strength.
That's a great way to think about it, yeah.
Like Sonnet, the meticulous researcher, and then Haiku is like the lightning fast customizer, just making sure that everything is exactly how you like it.
I love that analogy.
But, I mean, with all this talk about personalized experiences, it's hard not to think about the potential downsides too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, are we just handing over even more of our data and our privacy to these, AI models?
That's a valid concern.
Right.
And it's a discussion we need to have as a society, especially as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
Right.
The potential benefits are huge, but so are the potential risks if we're not careful.
So it's not just about, like, the cool things that AI can do. It's also about how we use it responsibly and ethically.
Exactly.
Which is a whole other can of worms. It really is.
Yeah.
But, hopefully one that we can, like, learn to manage responsibly.
Exactly.
But it's definitely a tricky thing to navigate because,
Sorry.
like, on the one hand, we've got all these amazing possibilities, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like, are we giving up too much control?
That's the question.
It's a tough one. It's like we're holding the keys to a super-powered sports car,
Okay.
but we're still learning how to drive stick shift.
Yeah. And the road ahead is full of twists and turns that, we can't even see yet.
Exactly. But hey, that's what makes this so exciting, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
imagine telling someone like 10 years ago
I know, right?
that we'd have AI building websites, writing code, maybe even helping us plan our vacations.
It sounded like completely like science fiction.
Totally. But here we are, on the cusp of this whole new era of technological advancement, and it's happening whether we're ready for it or not.
It's here.
So for all of our listeners out there who are, just as fascinated by this stuff as we are,
Yeah.
where do we even begin? Like, how do we wrap our heads around all of this?
I think it starts with awareness, right?
Okay.
We need to understand what AI is actually capable of, both the good and the potentially not so good.
Right. Both sides of the coin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we can start asking ourselves the tough questions. Like, how do we want AI to be used?
Okay.
In our workplaces, in our schools, in our homes.
Yeah, those are all really good questions.
What are our values?
Right.
And how do we make sure that those values are reflected in the development and the deployment of these technologies?
It's like we're writing the rules for a game that we're only just beginning to understand.
Yeah, and the stakes are incredibly high.
Yeah.
But, I'm optimistic.
Okay.
I think that we have the capacity to shape this technology
Yeah.
in a way that benefits humanity as a whole
Okay. Yeah.
if we do it right.
I like your optimism. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the what ifs, but at the end of the day, we're the ones in the driver's seat, right?
They are.
So it's up to us to make sure we're headed in the right direction.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical nitty-gritty of Claude 3.5's capabilities to the broader, societal implications of AI becoming this increasingly important part of our world.
It's a complex landscape, but I think that our listeners are now equipped with, a deeper understanding of what's at stake here.
Right. And hopefully, some of the questions that they can start asking themselves and, start thinking about as they, continue to interact with this technology in their own lives.
Exactly.
And if there's one thing we want you to take away from this deep dive, it's that, the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us.
Yeah.
It's something that we're all actively shaping every single day.
So stay curious,
Yes.
stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged in the conversation.
Of it.
The future of AI is a shared journey, and we're all in this together.
Beautifully said. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.